assignment and raise any questions you might have. Nathan circled some keywords to help him figure out his purpose in writing. Now let's look at his second free write. Remember, in his second free write, he's writing about purpose, audience, and format.
Nathan begins with his purpose. He has to figure out how and why people interact the way they do in this particular setting.
He's beginning to get some ideas and figure out his objective for the paper. Let's go back to the assignment. We see he has to describe how people look and act. He also has to analyze why people act the way they do. So let's see how description and analysis materialize in his free write. He remembers there's lots and lots of cliques in high school. The popular kids are beautiful, nerds are smart, some are just socially inept, and others are just plain creepy. He also realizes that most people are in the middle and don't fit into any group. He sees that he's being too general and will need to classify these people into subgroups by their behavior. So at this stage, he's beginning to form a thesis for his paper. He'll look at how these groups are divided and why.
His paper is starting to take shape. I am really excited to be doing a paper about high school. I wasn't exactly a nerd in high school, but I wasn't too popular. I wasn't exactly a jock. And I wasn't too big with the girls. But writing this paper should be an interesting experience.
So Nathan has now found a purpose or objective for his paper. He's going to describe and analyze the different groups that form in high school and explore why cliques form. Next, he writes about his audience.
His audience is his professor. He thinks his professor is a little strange, but he's going to be able to use some slang to show what groups are like. He's going to have to balance conversation and slang with academic style. His professor also expects him to find some research on his topic.
So that's it for audience and purpose. Nathan puts an end to his free write by looking at the format of the assignment.
Nathan writes that the format of his paper is an essay, at least 4 pages double-spaced. He'll have to go into lots of description on different groups to define the social dynamics of high school. He must have a specific thesis with an original argument and clear organization.
So he knows the length and structure of the paper. There are a couple of other format issues that the professor listed on the assignment sheet.
Nathan must use some supporting evidence, and it must be cited accurately. His paper also must use the proper spelling, punctuation, and grammar.
So that takes care of Nathan's free write about purpose, audience, and format.
So Nathan's done 2 free writes. His first one was to get him thinking about what he'd like to write for this assignment. He thought about what he's personally interested in and what could work with the assignment. Once he had an idea of what he wanted to do, he did a second free write. In this free write, he thought about how he could make the setting he chose, high school, fit the demands of the assignment. His second free write looked at his purpose, audience, and format for the assignment. He thought about these 3 factors by marking places on his assignment sheet that related to them. By doing this, he formed a direction for his paper to go in. So you can see how spending just a little time free writing can get you on the right track. Now when Nathan sits down at his desk to start writing, he'll have some ideas to begin with instead of just sitting there staring at a blank piece of paper or screen.
Before we actually begin to look at writing a first rough draft, we're briefly going to discuss 2 more important steps in the writing process: getting feedback on your preliminary ideas and using journals. Both getting feedback and using journals can make your final paper better.
Getting feedback on your plans from the teacher or others can be very useful, since others might catch any potential flaws in your ideas.
So lavender ink is a bad idea. Yeah. Oh. No, that wouldn't be good.
Regardless of who you talk to, it's much better to work out potential problems now.
And just because you get feedback now doesn't mean you can't get feedback throughout the writing process. In fact, you should get continual feedback from others as your paper progresses.
There's a second thing that you can do at this stage of the writing process that'll make your paper better and keep things purring like a kitten throughout the writing of your paper. It can be very helpful to keep a writing or research journal. Many English composition classes will require you to keep a journal.
Don't get this confused with a diary. A diary is a book you keep personal thoughts and experiences in.
In a writing or research journal,
You keep track of your progress and thoughts on a particular assignment or class.
Remember, like Lassie and the training wheels, a journal is there to help you. As we said at the beginning of the program, writing is discovering what you think about your world, the class you're taking, or the assignment you've been given. A journal is an effective way to record the discoveries you make. A journal can help you in several ways.
For example, as you research your assignment, you can write down your thoughts on a particular article you've just read.
This is far more effective than just reading it and underlining, since it helps you get your own ideas down on paper.
Journals are also a good place to work out your ideas.
Sounds crazy, but a great way to figure out what you want to write is by writing. Journals are a lot like free writing in this way. Journals can make it lots easier on you when you start writing a draft of your paper. You'll have lots of ideas when you actually sit down and start writing, and it only takes a minute to write a paragraph in your journal since you're writing for yourself.
So we've looked at some methods to make it easier on you as you begin writing, such as getting feedback from others like your teacher, friend, or classmate. You can also use free writing and a journal to make it easier for you to get your initial ideas down on paper and to keep track of any thoughts that might go through that brain of yours.
Section B, collecting information.
Most of the writing